He, because of the wonderful work that he does, not only with us but in the community, he has been awarded. He has been awarded with a Distinguished Citizenship Award. Okay. This is for volunteers and influencers who have excelled in assisting the community in the following fields: diversity, inclusion, equity, medicine, care, veterans affairs, and in the field of arts generally, or during the COVID pandemic. It's for distinguished citizens during the celebration and presented during the celebration of the Platinum Jubilee of Her Majesty the Queen. So we have, with this celebration or presentation, we have a special guest to do the presentation. His name is Roger Nair. He just came in. Let me do a little bit of presentation, and then I'll ask you to come over here. Okay. So Roger Nair is the CEO of Lionheart Production House, a company initially established to facilitate the production and distribution of domestic and foreign films and manage large-scale events. A career filmmaker, consultant, and a Queen's Medal awarded to human rights activists. Roger Nair started his career over 25 years ago. Since then, he has organized several events contributing to the success story of Ontario, becoming the preferred destination for major international entertainment business events. He continues to be a strong proponent of cultural diversity, inclusion, and acceptance within the creative industries. So I asked Mr. Nair to come and do the honors, and of course, Sifu Paul to come over here as well. The camera angle is over here, so if you can stand behind the podium, that would be great.
This is Dave Vieira. I'll introduce him. Dave Vieira is the Director of FFS, and he is the Chair of the Awards Committee. So he has to read his matter, and then I'm happy to present.
Perfect. Thank you, Roger. The matter. Whereas the people of Canada, specifically Mouse Cultural Festival and Film Society, as well as Ontario Multicultural Society of International Arts, consider it desirable that the Distinguished Citizenship Award be awarded for the purpose of making the 70th anniversary of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II's accession to the throne on February 6, 1952. In honor of Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom, Canada, and her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith. To all to whom these presents shall come, or whom the same may in any way concern, this certificate awarded to Shifu Paul Ng for exceptional service in the field of community well-being during COVID-19.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Over here, a picture.
This is for acupuncture.
I'll put that on here.
Right to the heart.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did I say a word?
Well, I'm happy to say a word for Shifu. This award I'll read it out here. So I was asked to present this because Shifu has done amazing work in during the COVID pandemic and helping hundreds of people go through the COVID-19 pandemic. So this award is presented to him for that matter. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome to my heart, especially David and Roger. We are just love first sight. We met and we became good friends right away. Thank you. Okay, I hope everybody can also contribute part of their life, your efforts to help the society and make this world a more peaceful world. And I'm a true believer that the world should be one people and not so many different finger-pointing nations or something. Hope the effort will pay off for the long term. Thank you very much. And this was from my heart, my honor, my real honor. Thank you. So this is a very exciting year confronting you, not just us. So that's the topic I'm going to talk about. But before I get started, we have a bunch of these books outside, so I hope everybody grab one. One side is Chinese, the other side is English. And I want to start the conversation with a poem I wrote, one in Chinese, one in English. So I just read the English version. So when you read the book, you see it. It's about the water rapid year 2023. I say, the lucky bunny flies to join the beauty on the moon. His action touches so many poets and creates the twin. Alas, the world will still go through infinite turmoil, while the world silently moves from 8th to the 9th world cycle. Okay. Now just quickly translate in Chinese. 水兔飛天到上岸，萬年影月動詩歌，後世波亂又未歇，八九運轉入天羅。That's the one I wrote. Technical University of Beijing published my first book of poetry, of 480 poems, 450 poems, and the second poetry book, 780 poems. The third book, I haven't figured out how to publish yet. I read another 600 or 700 poems. So when you read my poetry, you have a vision of the world because I travel to more than 66 countries. Okay, and my clients come from more than 7 countries. Just a quick background for my new friends here. My background was a computer science graduate from the University of Waterloo, and this year is my 50th anniversary. Graduated in 1972. And in 3 years' time, I will be 80 years old. So I'm 77 in age now, actually 75 to 76. Pretty young still by today's standard. And my beautiful wife is 71.
You look really young.
Now, Joseph asked me the secret. I want to share the secret. That's very important for this year. The ultimate health is our immune system. Don't overly put your life in the hands of medication. That's very important. You have to get it. That's why since 1976, I've been teaching Qigong for free for all the years. And one of my very good disciples is Ian Barnett, disciple 107. That's a baby disciple. And next week I'm going to Miami, 11 to 14, to see 25 clients, including 5 of my disciples, from Miami to North Palm Beach. So it will be very hectic for a 4-day visit. Now, to start this year, very important, what's going on in last year. People who listened to my speech back in at the end of 2019, 2020, in July 2019, I wrote an article saying there's a worldwide infectious disease coming that will affect the lungs and the respiratory system. And the result would be a lot of people will have mental issues afterwards. And I said that in July 2019. And so I happened. So the first wave of COVID was the most serious. Now, when you look at virus, I want you to visualize a funnel. A funnel is that the first wave is a big circle. It doesn't transmit too fast yet, but it's serious. As time goes on, it goes to the center hole, then it goes faster. So the infection rate is much faster as it goes on, but the death effect will be much smaller. Eventually it goes to the hole and suddenly disappear. Now, would this virus ever disappear from our human life? Never, because it's part of nature. Sometimes it's nature's method to cleanse overabundance of human or creatures. Unfortunately, we have to look at life that way. So those who keep fit will create energies. So how do we create energy? So my major practice is Qigong. Because technically speaking, I'm 20th generation of the Shaolin Temple of Internal Martial Arts and Qigong. And so I've been doing that for 46, 47 years now. And 56 years in practice of Tai Chi. So I mastered both Chen and Yang Tai Chi over the years. I usually don't talk much about it. I mention it because that's the ultimate way to make yourself healthy. So 2020 was the most volatile year, most serious year over the past 20-year cycle. The whole world goes on 20-year cycles. So the cycle we are in is began in 2004 and ends in 2023. Why was 2022 the most serious, most volatile? Because that cycle with a number 5 in the center, 5 yellow center, which is the most serious sign and turbulent side of the world. You see stock market, you were in my speech last year, I mentioned 2022, be very careful about your stocks. And a lot of people are going to lose the savings. And it's going to be so volatile beyond belief. Okay? And also ups and downs for everything. People go nuts, look at all these shootings, thefts. And this is nature. Okay? Because it's supposed to happen that way, unfortunately. So that's what I predicted for 2022. So the 5 yellow center cover the center, and then all the 9 stars go back to the original position. So that becomes extreme turmoil. Thank God, it's almost over. By February 4th, it will be over. Not Chinese New Year, February 4th. The technical turning point. Now, what's in the works for us in 2023? 2023, the governing number is 4. Hong Kong people don't like 4, but I will never live in a house without the number 4. Why 4 is so important? Because 4 actually means scholarship, learning, thinking. So this world is changing from 5 to 4 cycle. And this learning meaning people will become more spiritual. Something spiritually, some will take over for people's heart minds instead of being so materialistic and so crazy about things. But 2023 also happens to be the last year of the 20-year cycle. So that means a major 20-year turning point for the world. Whenever we have a major turning point, no matter whether it's good or bad, is volatilities. But volatilities create tremendous opportunities. Now, where are the opportunities? So let's classify this world. First of all, the governing number 4, so the power is double. Number 1, dimensions. Okay, number 2, learning. Education is going to come in a big way. Not just normal education, but spiritual education. Big way. And number 3, the I Ching governing power for the center point is called wind and mountain. Wind and mountain governing. And what's the I Ching governing for the whole world? Well, this is called the trigram. The governing world is wind and fire family. So eventually, a lot of world disturbances are going to come down. It will be like coming to a family, finally. So prediction number 1, COVID will finish within 2023, and definitely before summer. And number 2, the volatilities between East and West will continue, but more subtle. And China is going to, number 3, China is going to open the doors, and China is going to have a lot of inventions. In fact, China will be on the way to create a 6G network for 5G. But what about the rest of the world? The rest of the world will push forward for the 5G network. So still one not behind China. Okay? And so that's very important. And education, I just mentioned, is a big thing this year. Anybody who wants to make a lot of money, think about it. Anything to education. Filming industry, show business is going to take off. Why? Because it's fire. Fire is favorable. Last year was terrible with fire. That's why for 2022, said fire was no good. That means a lot of high-tech companies toward the end of the year will be in big trouble. You see how many people got laid off toward the end of 2022. But a new breed of high-tech people will come back alive in 2023. So don't underestimate the power of high-tech. The world, sooner or later, eventually will have to rely on high-tech. Okay? So the powerful elements for 2023 is 3 elements. The weak element is earth and metal. Water with fire is the most powerful. So fire is education, communications, high-tech. All these will do marvelous this year. So people lost their shirt from the high-tech companies. If you don't sell the stocks, chances are you'll make a lot back. If you are patient, you don't buy margin, then you're fine. Okay? Anything to do stock market, your opinions, you can ask me, because 30 years ago I was actually director IT at CIBC. So that's history a long time ago. I was actually head of Wickham D's computer department at the time, in the late 1980s. Time flies by. So now, so what is water? Water travel. Traveling, people got locked down for so long, they're going to really pick up travel. Okay, so it's going to really shoot. So, but maybe some different places, even create new routes. For also water. Water also represents the quality of water. So people in the water business should do very well. Purification of water, big business coming. That's water. What is wood? Wood includes natural healing, design work, okay, and also things to do with real estate design. So you're going to see a lot of crazy, amazingly new built buildings. Things you haven't seen, different shapes. So this is a very creative year. And water and wood together also represent creativity. New ideas going to really surge, and that's going to help us a lot. So that's on the wood side. Chinese medicine, okay, is very interesting. It's getting a little more recognized. Natural healing will be a big thing for the year coming, because Western medicine is finding a blockage. I give you one example. A good friend of mine who's originally from India, last name is, I keep the name secrets, better not mention names. Okay. He's supposed to do prostate checking in USA, Florida. He already paid the money, air ticket, everything. Out of the blue yesterday, the doctor's office called him to cancel. This money down the drain. I said, do you really need to go to USA for checking? Okay. So he said he would think about it twice. Now look at the money he lost. Okay. So his opinion is the US doctors don't treat Canadians like him. It's all money. And you are always number 2. You are never number 1 in their priority. We are proud to be in Canada. At least we don't see that here. Okay? So I said your ultimate thing is not to rely on these drugs, it's your own health. I sent him a link to join our Qigong classes, which is free on Zoom, every Tuesday, Friday night, 9 to 11 p.m. He said every time he wanted to join, he fell asleep. Long day working. But so that's a natural healing. Other approaches for health, it will become a big thing. Okay? And what about, so these 3 things will bring us good news. What about metal? Metal is machinery, automobiles. We are going to have very volatile markets for cars in this country. The problem with cars is the lack of delivery. They still have trouble delivering cars. So be very careful if you're in the car business. Like today, you know, Tesla's stock went down another notch because they couldn't deliver. And then more of this will be happening in 2023. And then what about Earth? Earth is real estate. So is real estate good or bad? On the surface, everybody said a recession is coming. In my honest opinion, I think media love to say that. Because if they say good news, nobody listens. If they say bad news, everybody got sharp and listen. Okay? How many times have you said Joseph had another child or something? Nobody cares. But if you said somebody got stabbed on the young subway, everybody cares. Okay, the shock. Okay? So that's on that side. But I think real estate, at least in where we know in Canada, especially Toronto, will do very well this year. But the turnaround point is towards spring or end of spring. And there are selected locations. So for the long term, real estate will be marvelous. The ultimate investment, in my opinion, in Canada really is real estate. That's why it's called real estate. They never said it's fake estate. Obviously, it can be greedy. Okay, the federal government put a restriction to limit foreign buyers, but there are so many exceptions. I think everybody will get confused anyways. Okay, and everybody will find a loophole anyways. So whatever that is, it is. But look at long term, not short term. People need a shelter to live in. So for long term, it will do well. Now the major problem about food business actually will be ups and downs about this year. Your food business belongs to the earth category. Problem, no manpower. Young people don't want to get into business, so they're stuck with it. Okay, so everybody want to be inside an AC conditioned room. Okay, have the keyboard and bake in. So that's how they want to enjoy their life. But if you look at it, the people really make this real money are blue collar workers, people with their hands. Okay, so don't underestimate it. Okay, so if you are white collar, you have to find a way how to manage a blue collar. Maybe the time is coming that's the other way. Okay, so that's it. Overall different branches of businesses. What about politics? Politics, the center point is classified as China. Okay, the word, anybody know what China means? The word China has two meanings. Number one, the original word was the first time when China was united in the Qing dynasty, about year 221 BC, before Jesus. When China first united, the western state took over the other 6 states. In China, 7 states became one. First time united, that state is called the Qing state. So, not meaning country. Qing means Qing. So it's called the state of Qing, so-called China. Why is it becoming CHI? Because when China was open to the world, most would be on the coastal cities, especially southern cities such as Hong Kong. So they have a dialect. In the dialect, they can pronounce the word Qing, like QI Qing. They pronounce it Qi, CHI, so become China. So official pronunciation should be QINA, Qing. But that's okay, that's history now. The second, Qing also means the center. So China means the center of the world. That's the meaning of China. Okay, so when we do Feng Shui for the world, so I classify China in the center. On the east side would be the eastern places such as Japan, Taiwan, etc., Korea. On the west side would be the western countries. On the north side would be the water countries such as Canada and Russia. On the south side would be Australia and the southern countries. That's how we classify the world when doing Feng Shui for the world. Okay. So China is governed by the number 4. That's why China will be really working on this 6G and high tech and more amazing advancement going on. China is going to standardize all cars to be electrical. Because China has the mines for lithium like you have never seen before. So they are not short of resources. And they have so much rare earth. You know, rare earth is very critical for high tech. And China has the most abundance in the world. So the potential, and also China was so behind for 200 years. So almost none of these mines was ever explored. So the potential is beyond people understand because of it. Okay? But another thing is there will be a huge race to the moon. Not because they haven't been to the moon, they've been to the moon. They probably have a holiday in there already. Is the earth, the material. Moon became the moon, it was part of earth originally. So because it was never explored for billions of years, so a lot of the original elements, metals, earth, still stay on the moon. So that means people will be rushing the moon, that would include China, USA, and Russia. And starting as early as 2023, you're going to see a lot of exploration done on the moon. Okay? Imagine the elements you get from the moon can help the earth so much. Okay? So that will be on the China side. So China is going to open up the door gradually. Now the world is doing a double Go game. Anybody play the game Go? Go? Okay, United States is playing a small Go game. That means they surround China with close by countries. On the east side they got Japan, South Korea, Taiwan. On the south side they got China, Vietnam, Thailand, etc. And on the southeast side they've been playing with Philippines and Indonesia. Okay, so surrounding China on east, southeast, and south side. On the southwest side they're working on places like India. On the west side is still a vacuum. That's why they invaded Iraq. A lot of people thought Iraq for the oil is not true. Strategically, they want to occupy Iraq to look at China on the west side, surround China with the Go game. And on the north side, they bought out Outer Mongolia. Okay, they couldn't go beyond that. They pay a lot of secret money to outside exterior Outer Mongolia. Anybody been to Mongolia? Inner Mongolia, I've been there a few times. Fascinating. And then the China's playing the big Go game. So it's like China's here, USA surrounded China with all these countries. And then countries outside this circle include Africa, Middle East. So China's befriending all of them. And if you ever go to Serbia, majority investments are from China. You go to Africa, my friends from Philippines coming and see me from Nigeria tonight at 7 o'clock, and they're going to tell me the influence of China on Africa is beyond belief. And China is helping Africa to build these high-speed railways everywhere. They were trying to help Indonesia do it, but it was stopped by US government. There's a lot of going on. So that's about the political side of the world, how to look at it. Okay? Now, so what about the next important country other than China? Obviously Canada. Canada is actually doing well in the coming year. Canada is governed by the number 9. Number 9 meaning joy, happiness. Okay, and party maybe. Okay, so media is fire. So, and also the number 9 in I Ching is yang, yin and yang. Yin is in the middle. That means the governing power of Canada is middle-aged women. You're going to see a lot of women leaders popping up into politics, especially in 2023, not just in politics, but also the head of companies, because that's the power of this fire energy. But Canada also started with argument sign for this year. So every legislation they try to pass through, they have to argue, they have to discuss, like 3 parties together, and you're going to see a lot of that, a lot of negotiation going on in the federal government in particular. Okay? Now, what about the next very important one, United States and Western Europe? United States is governed by the number 6, but it's also the triple conflict center of the year. 6 means mobilities, but also means wallet, but also means money. But because it's a triple conflict center, you're going to see a lot of problems like murders, gun problems, robberies, killing for no reasons, stabbing for no reasons. You see a lot of that in the USA, especially in California. And also New York's shine is dimmed quite a bit because the northeast side is suffering from the number 7. 7 is a receding number in this life cycle. Because that also means stock market will continue to be volatile because of it. Okay. But USA will try to solve many things. A lot of people are asking me in 2022, what happened to these interest rates? Most people said because inflation. I said it's only part of it. The major issue is politics. The U.S. Reserve want to boost up the interest rate to change the value of U.S. dollars. This way, the whole world will kowtow to USA. And so now, once they believe it's already done, they're going to ease the increase. So in my opinion, the interest rate is 80% political move, only 20% economic move. Okay. So, but if your mortgages are not up for renewal, who cares? You only hurting people who haven't got a mortgage. But they can do the floating mortgage, wait until mid-year, then the interest rate will come down. Okay. Every time it goes up, it's an opportunity. So these 6 months is the absolutely best opportunity to buy real estate when people got chicken. And remember when media say go east, you go west. When media go south, you go north. Then you make all the money you can make. Okay, so that's how it works. On the east side, it's interesting. East side would include, east side actually is a sickness center for this year. So that means places like Japan and Taiwan, you will see a whole slew of new illnesses popping up. But they are not really too powerful because they also have a lucky sign on the trigram side of the analysis. The south side is the money center this year. India will do well because in the south for change. Okay, my friend, I just talked with my friend in Indonesia, who's the 9th wealthiest man in Indonesia, and I'm the chief advisor to the entire corporation. I'm the advisor to the number 9, number 10 wealthiest man in Indonesia for years. So major decisions they call me. And so he said he had to run to Singapore for 3 years, because Indonesia over the past 3 years was in nothing short of a turmoil. But I told my friend, Henjo, it's changing. Indonesia will do much better this year. We stabilized quite a bit. So to my advice, he actually flew back to Jakarta. Based on my advice, just one phone call, he flew back to Jakarta. And so a lot of southern countries, so Australia would show some improvements. Okay. So this would be on the political side of the world. So are there bad guys or good guys? Believe me, there's no good guy, no bad guy. Between countries, it's only one thing: profit, benefit. There's no good guy or bad guy. Unfortunately, I have to say it that way. Now, what about the kind of world weather, the climate? Because the governing power of this year is wind and fire. You're going to see a lot of windstorms, fires, forest fires, even urban fires in cases. You're going to see a record number of fire accidents, even in Toronto. So be careful about it. Now, to bring you back to where we live now, what about Toronto? Toronto is, I wrote an article back in 1992 to the city of Toronto at the time. They asked me to write the article and spoke in Chinatown in 1992 for the Hong Kong Festival. I don't know, maybe some of you were not born yet at the time. Okay. So in my article, I said Toronto is governed by 3 water dragons, 5 land dragons, and 7 dens, or 7 pearls. So it's the most prominent Feng Shui city in the whole country, Canada. People say, what about Vancouver? I said Vancouver had a dragon but it's a fake dragon. Okay, because there's no surrounding cities. So I actually wrote a long poem about the future of Toronto. And the poem I said, the future of Toronto is Highway 7. I said it in 1992, because that's called the North Dragon. Okay? And so Toronto is now, what about the next wave for changing Toronto? Southeast side of Toronto, close by the lake, is going to be booming. The third place will be southwest of Toronto, also will be booming. So you're going to see a lot of developments in these two ends. Okay. So I gave you a prediction. So if you want to do some investments, okay, some place to look at. Now, so the money center for Toronto in 2023 is downtown Toronto. The speculating money center is actually surprisingly south of Etobicoke. Maybe a new development is going on. And also Oakville. A lot of people want to move to Oakville. And Burlington is quickly catching up on Oakville. So those two cities are going to boom in 2023. So that's about Toronto. What about economy in Ontario? I think Ontario is in the argument center of the country. No matter what they do, there will be arguments. The key is to look at the future, look at the code. Don't worry about arguments. They will fight through because nobody can argue with facts. When the facts prove that it works, who's going to argue? And that's my attitude. And that's my advice to Mr. Ford. Okay? So look at the big picture. Don't get carried away by somebody saying, because no matter what you do, you always have people agree with you, you always have people opposing you. And you cannot be a yes man, because nothing gets done as a yes man. Okay, so those are the big picture of the world, so I'm painting a nice picture. And starting February 4, 2024, a completely brand new world cycle pops in, the cycle of 9. And China will begin its 40-year high cycle, starting 2024 until 2063. So China has not peaked yet. It hasn't even begun yet. It's just prepared for the future. Okay, so that's what I want to share with you. Now, I will never be allowed to live without talking about something about horoscope. But before that, any questions in particular? I hope nobody falls asleep. Okay, this is year of what? Water rabbit. Water rabbit. Okay. Now, anybody born in the rabbit, they're born in 1951, 63, 75, 87, 99. Anybody born in 1999? Okay. The rabbit people, whenever you are born in the year, the rabbit in the rabbit year, most people think is, some people say it's positive, it's my year. Somebody says negative, because you're in it. Is it good or bad? It's two sides. Okay, you're born in the year of the rabbit, okay, you would have a scholar sign. So if you're in education, business, in the public media business, and you're a rabbit, you actually will do well. But if you're a stockbroker, you're a gambler, forget it, be careful. Okay, so that's the way to look at it. So rabbit, so who can help rabbit? The combination sign can help the rabbit people, the pigs or the sheep people. They be a buddy with them. So rabbits don't gamble, rest well, exercise well, so you have energy for it. Okay? Now, what about the dragon? The dragon is very spiritual this year. People say dragon and rabbit also have a breaking conflict. The conflict is relational conflict. So if you are born in the year of the dragon, be nice to your girlfriend or boyfriend or wife or husband. And when you are in arguments, take a step back. And who can help the dragon people the most for 2023? Tigers. People say that's not true. Tigers and dragons are opposite. They always fight. But this is an exception one. Because tiger plus rabbit, okay, plus dragon is a platinum connection combination. Become a very tight connection. So dragon people for this year, because the spiritual side being so dominant, had to be spiritual. So they can endeavor in anything with the mind. Okay, like natural healing, spiritual teaching, spiritual work, very favorable for the dragon people. Okay. Now next one is a snake. The snake last year had a lot of illness signs, a lot of accident signs. If you were born in the snake, I don't know who the snakes are. Last year will be quite a bit ups and downs. This year, the snake people into a very dominant travel sign and the money sign. The money and mobilities go together. So if you're born in the year of the snake, and if you're a business person or you're a trading person, go for it. Travel as much as you can. You should do very well. Now next one is a horse. The horse and the rabbit had a blinking sign. So don't do anything too drastic. Okay, don't upset people by insisting that you're right, he's wrong. There's no such thing. It's always give and take. Okay, so if you're a horse, but if you're in demolition business, you're a surgeon. Okay, you cut people, you cut animals. You can do very well. Okay, is Temperament Building the company that tears down buildings? Whatever they call it. Okay, so things like that. So it's a blinking sign. So mobility is important when you're in blinking sign. Now, the number 2 best sign this year is a sheep. Okay, sheep people are born in 1955, 67, 79, 91. The sheep and the rabbit form a golden connection. You have a lot of help, a lot of opportunities. Only problem, the sheep is a blood sign associated with it. Drive carefully. But if you're in the business to do with blood, such as a surgeon, a doctor, marvelous, or a dentist, because you're associated with blood in the sheep. The connectivity is there. Now, next one is the monkey. The monkey people are into a kind of almost a seclusion type personality. Keep it low key. Be careful not to fight with people. Do your work. Use the results to prove yourselves for the monkey. So keep it low key. You'll be okay with it. Now, rooster people are opposite to rabbit. Roosters are born in 1945, 57, 69, 81, 93. So if you're born in the rooster, don't gamble, don't speculate, drive carefully because conflict. However, if your line of work is like a travel agency, you have to go out a lot, be mobile. May not be a bad thing. But what sign can help the opposition side rooster? I would suggest find somebody called the pig to work together, or snake, but you cannot have both. Either pig or snake, only one of them. Because it connects with the year, minimize the conflict. Okay? The next one is a dog. Dog is the number 3 best sign this year. Because the dog and the rabbit form a silver connection. So if you are born in the dog, and if you are in the PR business, you're dealing with people, you're a marketer, you're a matchmaker, or if you are waiting to get married, this is the year. So very powerful year, lots of help, lots of opportunities. So thanks to the power given to the dog people. Okay, last year was a half-hearted, but this year much better. Okay, now the number 1 best sign this year is the pig. Where's Bob? My friend Bob Brown. Bob always blame me when I don't mention him. Okay, they're born in 1935, 47, 59, 71, 83, 95. So Bob and I are both pigs. He's born in 1935, I'm born in 1947. That's why my lunar age is 77, starting in February this year. Lunar age. Okay? And so the pigs are number 1 because they form a golden connection with the rabbit. That means opportunities abundant. Money is good. Very busy year for the pig. Pig is all like the snake, both sides are into travel. So the more the pig travels, the more money the pig makes. The pigs are in a position to help many people this year too. So if you need help, find out who's born in the pig and try to hold him or her. The red people and the rabbit had a kind of people conflict. So that is some kind of legal conflict as well. So if you're born in the year of the rat, but you're a politician, you're a law enforcer, you're a policeman, you may do well. Otherwise, make sure your work is in compliance with the law. Before the law catches you, you protect yourself. As people relations is concerned, there's a very dominant flower sign with the rat, so romances are there. But can they marry? Half, because there are a little bit of conflict. It takes rabbit and the rest sometimes tend to fight a bit. The last sign is the ox sign. Okay, the ox is probably the most stubborn sign of the 12 signs. But the ox is in the power this year. So for those people born in the ox, they can talk to the boss they want to raise. Okay, get into management, get in some authority. So, but the ox, watch out for people relations because of that. Don't be too arrogant. So those are the 12 signs. Oh, did I miss anything? Oh, the last one is the tiger. Tiger. Anybody born in the tiger, 1938, 50, 62, 74? They born in 1974? The tiger people and the rabbit people are actually very connected. A lot of people don't realize it, but I mentioned it earlier. Tiger, rabbit, and dragon form a platinum connection. So you find a dragon person to work with you. There's Yin is a dragon. Okay. Tiger people are also into power, legal. That means if you are involved in management and legal work, government work, you can do very well. Okay, there's a little bit of a bleeding sign. So when you are, so you don't need to cook. Just tell your wife to do the cutting. But Sifu said you may cut your finger otherwise. Be careful about the blood sign. But otherwise, those are the 12 signs we're talking about. With that, I want to wish everybody a very healthy, most importantly healthy, successful new year. Enjoy every day we live because every day is a full day. Enjoy it. Like, we cannot live in the past. The past is gone. We learn from it. We cannot live tomorrow because it becomes a big dream, but we can plan it. But today is where we live it. So with this, I wish everybody a very successful every day and all the success in your life. Thank you. Sonia just told me this is the 23rd year I've been giving a speech here, starting year 2000.